Hi friends, welcome back to EXCELMAP. This is Srinivas Reddy. Friends, in this video we'll discuss about SQL introduction. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It was introduced in the year 1970s by IBM company. In the starting days, we used it to store the data in the file format. That time, we don't have this kind of SQL and databases to store the data. That is the reason we used file systems. But there are so many disadvantages out there to storing the data in the file systems. That is why Dr. E.F. Card is also from IBM introduced RDBMS concepts. So in the RDBMS concepts, he introduced 12 card roles. If it is satisfying these 12 card roles, then we can say it is a proper RDBMS tool or else proper RDBMS software. Like this, so many RDBMS tools are there in the market, like Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, IBM DB2, Netezza, MySQL, Teradata, Cosmos DB, PostgreSQL. Like there are so many RDBMS tools are there. In every RDBMS tool, the common thing is what? SQL. We can call it as SQL also. Why? Because if you wanted to communicate with the databases like DBMS, we need a language. So that is why we are using SQL. We call it as SQL also. The user wants to communicate with the databases, then we need a language called SQL. This SQL was introduced by IBM in the year 1970s. To overcome the disadvantages of file system, we are using RDBMS tools. Inside that we are using SQL language. Some people are calling as SQL and some people are calling as SQL. But actually what is the difference? In the starting days, they called as SQL because it is a structured English query language. Later, it was changed as SQL, just only structured query language. That is the reason we can call it as SQL or SQL. Anything is fine. But nowadays we are writing just like SQL only. But we can pronounce it as SQL also. But we cannot write this way, this SQL. So we should write only the SQL for this structured query language. In this, so many RDBMS tools. Now we have Microsoft SQL Server. This is the topmost used RDBMS tool. This Microsoft SQL Server actually introduced in the year 1989. Later, they introduced so many versions like SQL Server 2000, SQL Server 2005, 2008 R2 version, 2012. 2014, 16, 17, 19. Right now we are using 2022 new version SQL Server. In the SQL, there are so many different types of commands are there. Here we are dividing these SQL commands into the 4 types. We can call it as data definition language, DDL, and data manipulation language, DML, transaction control language, TCL, and data control language, DCL. Coming to this data definition language, we have create, alter, drop, truncate, and rename. And data manipulation language having 4 commands: select, insert, update, delete. But this select command, we can call it as a data query language. Why? Because it is using for retrieving the data. Instead of we can calling as a data manipulation language, we can call it as data query language also. So normally in the data manipulation language, we are discussing about insert, update, delete and select also, but we are calling this select as a data query language command also. And transaction control language. Transaction control language having commit, rollback, save point. And data control language having grant, revoke, deny. These are the different types of commands are there in the SQL. To storing the data, to manipulating the data, to update the data. So whatever if we want to do, we are going to querying the data by using this commands. Generally, why we are using this SQL or DBMS? If you want to do anything, we need the data. For example, if I wanted to create or generate any kind of reports in the backend, we need some data. Or else, if you wanted to create any application or if you want to do any project, there compulsory we need a data. So without data, we cannot do anything. That is the reason this SQL is the very important tool nowadays. So everywhere we are using, like IT people or non-IT people, everyone can use this SQL. It's not like a programming language, just a query language, so that anyone can learn and anyone can use with any applications or tools. Now we'll see how to open the SQL Server software and there we'll execute few queries. First go to the start and type SQL Server Management Studio. it will open the SQL Server Management Studio, and from there we are going to connect with the SQL Server software. Now I'm using 2022 latest version SQL Server software. Now it is asking to connect to the server. Because we are in the SQL Server Management Studio, from the SQL Server Management Studio to SQL Server, just click on connect, take a new query. And if you want, you can create the database first. After that, inside the database, we can create the tables also. First of all, I'm creating the database. Create database. Database name is, I'm taking Srinivas Reddy. Then you can execute it. Now, if you wanted to use this database, you can say use Srinivas Reddy. Type it, select the line only, just click on execute. Say here. Now, we are in the Srinivas Reddy database. So once after creating the database, we are going to create the table. So first there is a hierarchy. First we are going to create the database. Inside the database we have the tables along with the columns, and inside that we are going to insert the records, nothing but rows. Here rows nothing but records and columns nothing but fields. First I'm going to create the table. Already we created the database. Create table. Table name is like I'm taking employee ID integer, employee name character of 20, employee salary integer. So after that just select it, execute it. And if you wanted to see this, if you wanted to see the columns or else structure of the table, you can use execute sp underscore help emp. Select it, execute it. What are the columns and what are the data types? Length, precision, scale, everything. Now we'll insert some records into the employee table. Insert into emp values like employee ID. I'm taking 101. Okay, this text should be in single quotes, like I'm giving Srinivas, and salary. After that select it and execute it. Then if you wanted to see the data number of records, then we can use select command. Select a star from emp. Select star from emp. Star means all rows and columns. Just select it, execute it. Now we inserted one record. You can see it is a grouping. So if you wanted to break this group, just you can type go like this. Just you can give go to break the group. And if you wanted to insert few more records, yes, you can insert. For example, here I'm going to take 102 RAM 30,000. You can do copy, paste. Now select this, execute. So 3 rows affected. Select star from emp, execute. See, there are 4 records. In this employee table, 3 columns and 4 records: employee ID, employee name, employee salary. So this is how just we can create the database, the table, and we'll insert the records. And if you wanted to see the data, you can use the select query by using select command. And later, in case if you don't want this table or records, we'll use like truncate table name. Truncate means it will delete the data from the table, not the columns and the table, only the records. Data, all the records, truncate. See, now select star from emp. You cannot see any data. And there is another command called drop also. Drop table name. Select it and execute it. See, now you cannot see the table data as well as table structure also. Now see, invalid object name emp. It is saying there is no emp table because this drop is deleting completely table data as well as table structure, including columns and everything. So this we can say like, DDL commands, data definition language, and rename also there. And we have so many commands just we discussed. So friends, this is just what is SQL and what is DBMS, and how to open the SQL server, how to execute the few queries in the SQL server, that is SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. Thank you friends. Please like this video and please do subscribe our channel for more videos.